The palace of the Alari Empire stood quiet beneath twin moons. Soft light flowed through crystal arches, reflecting across long halls where servants moved in silence. At the heart of the palace, upon a throne shaped from living stone, sat the alien queen. To the galaxy, she was a symbol of calm power. To her people, she was wise and unshaken. But when the court emptied and the doors closed, the queen was only a mother who had lost her child. Every year, on the same night, she dismissed all advisors and stood alone before a small memory shrine. It held a single image, faint and worn. A young alien girl with bright eyes and a shy smile, holding her mother's hand. Her daughter, lost 12 cycles ago. The girl had vanished during a sudden attack on a frontier colony. Chaos, alarms, fleeing ships. A single transport never made it out. Search fleets scoured nearby systems for years. Nothing was found. No signal, no remains. The council urged the queen to accept the loss. She never did. That night, the queen pressed her palm to the image, her voice barely a whisper. She did not pray. She simply hoped. Hope was the one thing even a ruler could not command. Far from the palace, far from comfort or ceremony, another world turned beneath a burning red sun. It was a rough planet, forgotten by most maps. Dust storms crossed broken plains, and old structures lay half-buried in sand. Few ships landed here unless they had no better choice. A lone human walked through the ruins. His armor was worn but clean, patched with care rather than pride. He carried no banners, no symbols of rank. Only a simple emblem on his shoulder marked him as human. His name was Elias Ward, though few asked for it anymore. He was a warrior, but not one who sought battles. He worked recovery jobs, escort missions, and rescues others considered impossible. Not because they paid well, but because someone had to go where hope had already given up. His current mission was simple. A faint distress signal had been detected weeks ago. Most assumed it was old. Elias did not. He moved carefully through broken corridors of an abandoned research outpost. Sand crunched under his boots. His scanner flickered with weak readings life. Barely above background levels, he stopped. The signal was real. Behind a fallen door panel, he heard a sound, soft, not mechanical, a breath. Elias lowered his weapon and pushed the panel aside with slow hands. Dust filled the air. In the dim light, he saw her. A small alien girl sat curled against the wall. Her skin shimmered faintly, marked with natural patterns. Her clothes were worn, patched many times. Large eyes stared at him in fear. She did not scream. She did not run. She only whispered something he could not understand. Elias crouched slowly, keeping his hands visible. His voice was calm, steady. He spoke in basic trade language, letting the translator work. "It's okay," he said. "I won't hurt you." The girl watched him closely. Her breathing slowed, just a little. She had survived alone for a long time. He offered her water. She hesitated, then accepted with shaking hands. She drank, carefully, like someone afraid the gift might vanish. Elias noticed something then. A small symbol at her collar, partly hidden beneath cloth. It was not decoration. It was a royal mark. His breath caught. Royal children were never meant to be on forgotten worlds. And yet here she was. "Where is your family?" he asked gently. She struggled for words. Her language was old, formal. The translator worked hard. "Gone," she said. "Ships. Fire." I waited. Something tightened in Elias's chest. He had seen many things in space. This was not the worst, but it was close. He knew the rules. He could report her location, call for pickup, walk away. He didn't. Instead, he removed his cloak and wrapped it around her shoulders. It was large, heavy, and smelled faintly of metal and travel. She held it like it was priceless. "You're coming with me," he said. "I'll keep you safe." She looked at him, eyes searching his face. Slowly, she nodded. As they left the ruins, Elias felt the weight of unseen eyes. This world was not as empty as it seemed. Signals traveled fast in dangerous places. If she was royal, others would come looking. The human ship lifted off hours later, engines humming steadily. Inside, the girl sat quietly, watching stars streak past the viewport. Elias set the ship on a cautious course. He did not go straight to known space. First, he needed answers. He reviewed old records, cross-checking royal marks with missing persons reports. One name surfaced again and again, buried deep in archived files. Aelari. Royal heir. Presumed lost. His hands tightened on the console. He had found the queen's daughter. Days passed. The girl spoke more now, sharing fragments of memory. A warm palace. Music. A voice that sang during storms. A mother with gentle eyes. Elias listened. He never interrupted. He also noticed how she watched him when she thought he wasn't looking, not with fear anymore, but with something like trust. That worried him. Trust was fragile. He had to be careful not to break it, but trouble was already moving. Unidentified ships began appearing on long-range scans. Not military, not traders, hunters. Someone else had heard whispers of a royal survivor. Elias changed course again, taking the long way through unstable routes others avoided. His ship took damage once, then again. Each time, he fixed it without complaint. The girl asked him once, "Why help me?" He thought before answering. "Because someone should," he said. She considered this carefully, then leaned against the wall and slept for the first time without fear. Light years away, inside the palace of the Aelari Empire, an intelligence officer stood before the queen. "There are rumors," the officer said carefully. "A human ship, traveling with a young royal-marked alien." The queen's fingers tightened around the arm of her throne. "A human?" she asked. "Yes, your majesty. He avoids contact, takes dangerous paths. He is protecting her." Silence filled the chamber. Hope, sharp and painful, rose in the queen's chest. She had felt this before. She had learned to guard against it. "And yet, track him," she said softly. "But do not engage." The officer bowed and left. Alone once more, the queen closed her eyes. She pressed a hand to her heart, afraid to believe, afraid not to. Somewhere in the vast dark between stars, a human warrior flew onward with a lost child beside him. Neither knew it yet, but their journey was about to change the fate of worlds, and a mother was about to cry tears she had waited years to shed. The human ship moved quietly through a narrow stretch of space, where stars bent strangely, and navigation charts were unreliable. Elias Ward preferred routes like this. Dangerous paths kept careless travelers away, and right now, distance meant safety. Inside the ship, the alien girl sat strapped into a small seat beside the navigation console. She watched Elias with calm curiosity. Fear no longer shaped her every movement, but she still stayed close, as if the space beyond the ship might reach out and take her again. Elias checked the scanners for the third time in an hour. Long-range readings showed faint energy trails. Someone was following, but keeping their distance. He did not tell the girl. Instead, he handed her a small food pack. She studied it carefully before eating, her movements slow and polite. Elias noticed how careful she was with everything, like someone who had learned that waste could mean loss. "Does space always look like this?" she asked quietly. "Depends where you are," Elias said. "Some places are bright, some are dark, most are just empty." She thought about that. "Empty can be safe," she said. He smiled faintly. Sometimes, as hours passed, she spoke more, not in long stories, but small pieces. She remembered hiding under seats while alarms sounded. She remembered strangers arguing in sharp voices. Then silence, long silence. Elias listened without asking for details she was not ready to give. He had learned long ago that listening mattered more than questions. Eventually, she asked, "Are all humans like you?" He paused before answering. "No," he said honestly. "But enough are." That seemed to comfort her. Outside the ship, shadows moved. 3 vessels emerged from a distant star's glare. Their shapes were wrong for peaceful travel. They did not broadcast identification. They followed at the edge of detection, patient and waiting. Hunters. Elias rerouted power to the engines and changed direction sharply. The ship shuddered but held together. The girl grabbed the edge of her seat, eyes wide. "Hold tight," Elias said calmly. The pursuing ships adjusted course immediately. They had confirmed their target. Elias guided his ship into a dense asteroid field, rocks tumbling slowly like sleeping giants. The human vessel slipped between them with careful control. The hunters followed, less careful, relying on speed over skill. A sharp vibration ran through the ship as debris scraped the hull. The girl looked at Elias. "Are we in danger?" "Yes," he said simply. "But we're not helpless." He cut the engines suddenly and let momentum carry them forward. The ship drifted silently behind a massive rock. One hunter passed close, sensors sweeping empty space. The girl held her breath. The second ship was not as patient. It clipped an asteroid and spun away, losing control. The third paused, then retreated, unwilling to risk further damage. Minutes passed. Then silence. Elias restarted the engines slowly. The girl let out a shaky breath. She looked at him, eyes wide with something new. "You were not afraid," she said. "I was," Elias replied. "I just didn't let it decide for me." She nodded, storing the words carefully. Days later, they reached a quiet system near the edge of known space. Elias brought the ship into orbit around a calm blue planet and shut down most systems. "Why stop?" the girl asked. "To rest," he said, "and to think." He needed to contact the Aelari Empire soon. Every delay increased the risk. But calling attention too early could draw more hunters. The girl sat beside him as he reviewed data logs. She traced the royal mark at her collar without realizing it. "That symbol," Elias said gently. "It means you belong to someone important." She looked down. "I think I belong to my mother." "You still do." Her eyes filled, but she did not cry. "What if she forgot me?" Elias turned toward her fully. "A mother like that doesn't forget." Far away, inside the Aelari palace, the queen stood before a wide star map. Light from distant systems reflected in her eyes. Reports had confirmed it. A human ship. A royal mark. The age matched. The probability was no longer small. Her advisors argued quietly behind her. Some warned of deception. Others feared a trap meant to weaken the throne. The queen raised her hand, and silence fell. "If this is a lie," she said, "then it is a cruel one." She placed her palm against the glowing map. A single moving point represented the human ship. "And if it is truth," she continued softly, "then the galaxy has been holding my child for too long." She ordered a small escort fleet to prepare. Not for battle, for welcome. Back aboard the human ship, Elias finally sent a coded message through secure channels. It was short, precise, respectful. He identified himself. He stated his findings. He requested safe passage. The response did not come immediately. The girl watched him anxiously. "Did they answer?" "Not yet," he said. Hours passed. Then the console chimed. Elias read the message carefully. His shoulders relaxed. "They know," he said. "They want us to come home." The word home made the girl's breath catch. She leaned forward, staring at the stars ahead. "What if they are angry with you?" she asked. Elias considered this. "Then I will explain. And if they don't listen, then I will stand my ground." She studied his face, then reached out and held his sleeve lightly. It was a small gesture, but it carried weight. "I'm glad you found me," she said. Elias felt something tighten in his chest. "I'm glad you waited," he replied. The journey resumed, this time along guarded routes. Royal beacons lit their path. Unknown ships vanished from scanners, unwilling to approach now. As the palace world came into view, the girl pressed her face close to the viewport. Towers gleamed beneath soft clouds. The planet looked warm, alive. "That's it," she whispered. "I remember." Elias slowed the ship as royal vessels approached. Their formation careful and respectful. No weapons locked on. No threats issued. Only escort. Inside the palace hangar, the queen waited. She stood tall, but her hands trembled slightly. Years of restraint strained under the weight of hope. The hangar doors opened. A small human ship descended, and inside it, the future stepped closer. The Queen took one breath, just one, and waited to see if the universe was finally giving her daughter back. Rows of guards stood at attention, their armor polished, their weapons lowered but ready. Nobles watched from raised platforms, their faces carefully controlled. None spoke. None moved. The human ship settled onto the landing pad with a soft hum. Steam drifted from its engines as the ramp lowered slowly. The alien queen stood at the front of the gathering. She wore no crown, only a simple ceremonial robe. Her hands were clasped together, trembling despite her effort to stay calm. The ramp touched the ground. Elias Ward stepped forward first. He removed his helmet and held it under his arm. He did not bow deeply, but he lowered his head in respect. His movements were careful, honest. He did not look like a conqueror or a thief. He looked tired, determined. Behind him, the small alien girl appeared. At first, the crowd did not recognize her. She wore simple clothes, worn but clean. She held onto the edge of the ramp, uncertain. Then the light touched her face. A sharp breath echoed across the hangar. The Queen took a step forward. Her eyes locked onto the girl, searching, desperate, afraid to believe. The girl's gaze drifted across the massive space. Then she saw the Queen. Something changed. Memories surged like a wave. A voice singing softly, arms holding her tight. A face filled with warmth and strength. "Mother?" the girl whispered. The word shattered years of control. The Queen moved without thinking. She crossed the distance in moments, ignoring protocol, ignoring the court, ignoring everything except the child before her. She knelt and pulled her daughter into her arms. The Queen cried, not quietly, not with dignity. She cried like a mother who had carried grief for too long and finally released it. The girl pressed her face against the Queen's chest, holding tightly, as if afraid the moment might fade. Tears slid down her own cheeks, but she smiled through them. "I came back," she said softly. "I waited." The Queen held her closer. "I never stopped looking," she whispered. "Never." The court remained frozen. Even the guards lowered their heads. For a long moment, there was no empire, no throne, only a mother and her child. When the Queen finally looked up, her eyes were wet but clear. She turned toward Elias. He stood still, hands open, making no move to approach. "This human," she said, her voice steady despite emotion, "brought my daughter home." Murmurs spread through the hangar. Some were shocked, others curious. A few looked troubled. One noble stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Your Majesty, humans are known for many things. How can we be certain this was not a trick?" Elias met the noble's gaze calmly. He did not raise his voice. "I ask for no reward," he said. "I only ask that she be safe." The Queen studied him carefully. She saw no hunger for power, no fear, only resolve. "What did you ask in return?" she asked. "Nothing," Elias replied. Another noble scoffed quietly. "No one risks such danger for nothing." The girl tightened her grip on the Queen. She looked at Elias, then back at the court. "He protected me," she said. Her voice was small but strong. "When he could have left, when others came for me, he stayed." Silence fell again. The Queen rose slowly, still holding her daughter's hand. She faced the court fully now. "This human crossed hostile space," she said. "He avoided conflict when he could. He risked himself without asking who the child was. That is not deception. That is character." She turned back to Elias. "Why did you do it?" Elias thought for a moment. Then he answered honestly. "Because she was alone," he said. "And because someone once helped me when I was." The Queen nodded slowly. "You have shown humanity at its best," she said. "And for that, you have my gratitude." She raised her hand, and a royal aide stepped forward with a ceremonial token. The Queen did not offer it immediately. "Before honors," she said, "there must be truth." She gestured to the guards. They stepped back, forming a clear path. "Walk with us," the queen said to Elias. "There are questions, and there is history to hear." They moved into a private chamber, away from the court. The room was warm, filled with soft light and living plants. The girl sat beside her mother, holding her hand tightly. Elias stood a respectful distance away. The queen listened as Elias explained everything. The distress signal, the ruins, the pursuit, the choice to protect rather than report. She asked careful questions. He answered all of them. When he finished, the queen sat quietly for a long moment. "You had many chances to walk away," she said. "Why didn't you?" Elias met her gaze. "Because walking away would have stayed with me forever." The queen exhaled slowly. "I misjudged humans," she admitted. "I believed them capable, but distant. Practical. I did not expect compassion without demand." She looked down at her daughter. "You trusted him?" The girl nodded. He listened. That was enough. The queen stood and faced Elias once more. "In this palace," she said, "truth matters more than blood. You have earned a place of respect here." She placed the ceremonial token into his hands. It glowed softly. "This marks you as a friend of the Alari Empire," she said. "No door under my rule will be closed to you." Elias accepted it with a bow. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Outside the chamber, news spread quickly. Across the palace, across the city, across the empire, a human had returned the queen's daughter. Not with force, with care. As night fell, the queen stood on a balcony, watching stars rise. Her daughter slept peacefully nearby, guarded not by soldiers, but by warmth and familiarity. Elias stood quietly at the edge of the balcony, preparing to leave. "You are welcome to stay," the queen said without turning. "For as long as you wish." Elias considered the offer. The palace was safe, warm, full of gratitude, but his path lay elsewhere. "I'm honored," he said, "but there are others out there who need help." The queen turned, studying him with new understanding. "Then know this," she said. "Your name will be remembered here." As Elias walked away, the queen looked at her daughter and smiled through tears. Humanity had not come to conquer her world. It had come to return what was lost, and the galaxy was beginning to take notice. Morning light spread across the capital city of the Alari Empire, like a gentle promise. Towers of crystal and living stone reflected the sun, and banners moved softly in the breeze. For the first time in many cycles, the palace felt whole. The queen stood beside her daughter on a wide balcony overlooking the city. The girl leaned against her mother's side, watching ships glide through the sky. Her eyes were calmer now. The fear that once lived in them had begun to fade. "You are safe," the queen said softly, brushing her fingers through her daughter's hair. "You will always be safe." The girl nodded, though she still glanced toward the hangar far below, where a small human ship waited. "He will leave soon," she said. "Yes," the queen replied, "but what he gave us will remain." Inside the palace, preparations were underway. Not for a parade or a show of power, but for a gathering of truth. The queen had summoned ambassadors, council members, and representatives from nearby systems. Word of what had happened had traveled fast. A lost heir had returned, and a human had brought her home. Elias Ward stood near his ship, checking systems one final time. The token given to him rested securely at his side. He had never carried something like it before, not because it was valuable, but because of what it meant. A guard approached him, respectful and unarmed. "The queen requests your presence." Elias nodded and followed. The great hall was full, yet quiet. Delegates from many species stood together, watching as the queen entered with her daughter. The girl walked confidently now, her steps steady. Elias took his place a short distance away. The queen raised her hand. "Today," she said, "we speak of what matters." She told the story from the beginning, of loss, of silence, of years without answers. She spoke of the ruins, the distress signal, and the human who chose to protect rather than profit. She did not exaggerate. She did not soften the truth. "When my daughter was lost," she said, "many searched, Many failed. Some stopped caring. This human did not stop. She turned toward Elias. He asked for nothing. He demanded nothing. He simply did what was right. The room remained still. One ambassador stepped forward. Does this mean the Aolari Empire now favors humanity? The queen met the question calmly. It means we recognize character when we see it. She placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. This child's life is worth more than politics. Anyone who returned her safely would be honored. That it was a human matters only because it shows who they can be. Murmurs spread through the hall, thoughtful rather than fearful. The queen continued. From this day forward, humanity is recognized as a trusted people under Alari protection. Not because of strength, but because of honor. The declaration echoed far beyond the palace. Elias felt a strange weight lift from his chest. He had not planned to change anything beyond one life. But one life had been enough. After the gathering, the queen approached him privately. The girl followed, holding her mother's hand. You will leave today, the queen said. Yes, Elias replied. The girl looked up at him. Will you come back? Elias knelt so they were at eye level. If you ever need me, he said. I'll listen. She smiled, then surprised him by stepping forward and hugging him tightly. It was brief, but full of meaning. Thank you for waiting with me, she said. Elias placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Thank you for trusting me. The queen watched quietly, her expression soft. You have given me back my child, she said. No gift can match that. But know this, my empire stands with you. Elias bowed his head. That's more than enough. As he walked back toward his ship, servants and guards stepped aside without being told. Some inclined their heads. Others placed hands over their hearts in respect. The hangar doors opened. Before the ramp closed, the queen's daughter ran forward one last time and waved. Elias raised his hand in return. The ship lifted smoothly and turned toward open space. From the balcony, the queen watched it go. She did not cry this time. Her tears had already fallen. What remained was gratitude. In the days that followed, stories spread across the galaxy. Not of conquest or destruction, but of a human who crossed dangerous space to return a child to her mother. Human ships began receiving different greetings at ports once closed to them. Suspicion softened, conversations changed. On distant worlds, parents told their children a new kind of story. Not about fear of humans, but about courage that did not ask for praise. Elias continued his work. He answered distress calls. He walked into places others avoided. But now, when people asked why he did it, he had a clearer answer. Because one choice can echo across stars. Back on the palace world, the queen stood beside her daughter as the sun set. The girl laughed as soft lights appeared across the city. The stars feel kinder now, the girl said. The queen smiled. They always were. We just forgot to look closely. High above, a human ship vanished into the dark. And far across the galaxy, humanity was no longer just another species among many. It was remembered as the one that brought a daughter home.